Mike Tyson comes back to the ring for the first time in decades, basically, at this point. Well, I guess he had the sparring tour or whatever, but in any
15
kind
years
of
as a pro, Luke. 14 years since we last saw him do anything. Okay.
something like that, it's going to be $50, $49.99 for an exhibition bout against the legendary, equally legendary in many ways, if not more, Roy Jones Jr. Okay, BC, let's set this up. We're supposed to preview this. I don't really know what to say because as an exhibition contest, there are a series of limits on what they can do. Let me get to some of them here for you if I can. So as I mentioned, it'll be $49.99. It'll be at the Staples Center, start time at 9 p.m. in the East Coast time. I think Fight TV or Tyson on Triller.
Just recently in the last 2 days, it's been added to every traditional pay-per-view provider as well, Luke.
Is that right? Okay, yeah, I mean, they're all trying to get some cash out of this. All right, so it's probably going to sell well. Now, how well, I don't know, BC, but just to set this up, no one will be declared the winner, even if someone gets dropped. You're not allowed to KO the other guy, although how you enforce that, I don't know. There's no judges. There is also, I think, no headgear either, but when it's all over, they're going to be given belts, and the gloves are a little bit bigger as well. So it's basically
I can give you
everything
a full
we hate.
breakdown of the difference in rules, Luke, okay? 8 2-minute rounds, unlike the 3-minute traditional.
Oh, that's right.
The gloves
yes.
will be 12 ounces instead of 10. You're right that the California State Athletic Commission is enforcing that the first sign of blood, they'll stop the fight. And also, it's supposed to be heavy sparring with no one going for the knockout and no winner. But the WBC has awarded shitty fake belts that say frontline title, Black Lives Matter. Support that definitely on the front of it. And also, Luke, the WBC has appointed Christy Martin, Chad Dawson, and Vinny Pazienza as ceremonial judges who will not be scoring round by round, Luke, but will provide a winner if the fight goes the distance. Now, if it didn't go the distance, it would mean there was a knockout. But Andy Foster said knockouts aren't allowed. So, Luke, I think this is the first topic. Like, this decides a lot of whether you're going to put the $50 down. We know when a 54-year-old famous ex-champion of Mike Tyson faces a 51-year-old Roy Jones, there's intrigue, there's nostalgia, but it could be a carnival crap show. I think what the California State Athletic Commission is trying to do by pushing this out there, but with really selective, prohibitive rules, Luke, there's a potential here that as soon as this thing gets good, if it has the opportunity to get good, that they could ruin it. They're putting referee Ray Corona in a really tough spot to basically come out and say, no, it's only going to be sparring, no knockdowns. This is entertainment only. I can envision, Luke, a couple bad scenarios. One of them is that the second this thing gets fun, they're like, okay, he's had enough. He had enough. We didn't have any.
BC is not making it look easy.
That's got to be your
audio?
biggest fear as a fan, consumer, anything.
BC, I think we lost audio. Time out. Did we lose audio? Okay, well, go ahead. Do your thing there, BC. Go ahead. Go ahead, buddy. Yes, go ahead. As he just making it look easy. All right, here. We'll get Brian back on because he has faulty equipment. For once, I love how the last set of technical difficulties have actually not been mine. For once, it has been quite a relief to get there. One note on what Brian said that deserves to be corrected, which is the WBC might have a panel of celebrity judges, and they might declare a winner, but that isn't actually making a winner in the official record books. The only person who could declare a winner or a loser would be the commission. The WBC or any other sanctioning body, they can anoint a ceremonial winner if they want, but they can't anoint an actual winner. So insofar as the bout itself is concerned, there is no way to get an official winner and official loser. I suppose, here's one thing that no one's really talked about either, which is, what if Tyson or Roy Jones, I suppose, either case, well, let's say Tyson drills Jones to the body with a vicious, liver shot and drops him and he can't continue. I mean, that wouldn't be going for the head in some kind of egregious way. It's hard to regulate how hard you go to the body. Yes, you can regulate it a little bit, but you never really know exactly what might drop someone. Hello, these guys are in their 50s. What if that happened? You would not have an official winner. The contest would just be over at that point. But I think you would at least have somebody who clearly was the superior of the two, even insofar as sparring is concerned. I think I see BC in my Zoom. There he is. Hi, BC.
Yeah, we got that McDonald's Wi-Fi over here at Casa.
I was just saying, BC, if you could pick up on this. What if, first of all, as I indicated, the commission is the only one who can declare an actual winner or loser. WBC can select like a ceremonial one, but it doesn't count for the record books. However, BC, what if Tyson, I'm going to make up something. What if Tyson dropped Jones to the body with a body shot? Yes, he would still not be declared the winner, but you'd get some finality there. And, these guys are in their 50s. It's not like they can take a huge shot.
I mean, look, it's an exhibition, so there's no victory on your record. But obviously, Tyson is having hopes with whatever investors he has to start a legends-only league that provides pay-per-views for all sports and all old athletes. I mean, look, who knows if that thing is going to last an hour, let alone a second pay-per-view. But yes, they're very much, despite the limitations around it, could be a winner. If they stop a fight because of a cut or a knockdown or knockout, yeah. But Luke, to the point I was making, and I don't know if you heard all of it, you got to be nervous that they're going to ruin this for us. That meaning us as a consumer, the people that are going to pay $50 for really the nostalgic thing of seeing Mike get in there again, seeing if the smaller Roy Jones, who's been certainly much more active as recently as 2018, if he can outbox him and get in. I mean, there's certain things that we're paying to see. Are they going to take that away from us, Luke? You got to fear that coming in.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, there's tension between what the commission is allowing and what they want to promise to the public, and they're having a hard time meeting somewhere in the middle. And so you'll just have to see where it ends up being in the end. And I don't really know the answer to that. I honestly, like I said, my recommendation is you should go in there ready to be disappointed, or at a bare minimum, have very managed expectations. Because if you get that, you're fine. Yeah, if it's anything more than that, you got more than your money's worth. So do you have any official prediction for how this will go? Will anybody take a knee because of a punch during the course of this exhibition?
Let's get all the things out of the way and move it, which we've already talked about for months, because this fight's been around for a while. They rescheduled it. The whole idea of should it happen, the rules, all that stuff. Let's put that aside, Luke. They're going to fight. Both have said in the press conference, in any interview they've done, I'm not gloving up for an exhibition. I'm gloving up for a fight. I'm going for the kill. All those great quotes. So here's the deal. I think you have to favor Roy Jones in this spot. Tyson's going to have he's in great shape. He's only 3 years older than Roy. Tyson, the power is going to be the last thing to go. Look, Tyson's the bigger natural guy. He's a heavyweight. Roy was a super middleweight, light heavyweight who happened to move up one time to heavyweight. So yes, Tyson's power, the more likely scenario. But Roy is much more fresher. I mean, look, he's actually 12-1 in his last 13 fights over the last decade. Now, granted, that was Roy fighting bums. Straight up. No disrespect. Yeah, disrespect. Bums, okay? Before that, Roy was ill-advisedly fighting actual contending light heavyweights and cruiserweights and getting knocked out. He closed his career fighting bums, but he's closer to having done this. Stamina-wise, taking a punch-wise, he's a quicker guy naturally. He's a better boxer naturally as a smaller man. Luke, I really believe that for all the things that we don't know about Tyson being 15 years removed from a real fight, including, like I mentioned, stamina and willingness to take a punch, I think you have to believe that if head-to-head they're allowed to fight, I like Roy. I like Roy's chances, even by stoppage at this point. Look, who knows what Mike can take at that. You have to realize, this is what makes this fight so weird, despite their age and the fact that 2020 is already batshit crazy anyway, so this fight feels normal suddenly, is the fact that Mike was so against even glorifying what he accomplished and who he was as a fighter the past 10, 12 years that he's done interviews, right? He's battled drug and alcohol addictions, then cleaned himself up. But even after cleaning himself up, he didn't want to talk about the monster he used to be. He was embarrassed to. Something happened, Luke. I think it was the connection that him and both Rashad have through, ayahuasca and the healing of the toad and all the psychedelic stuff. He's found peace in that. He got back into great shape. Getting into great shape when his wife told him he was fat last year made him competitive again. I love this part of the story, that Tyson is like, you know what? I want to kind of end things on my own terms. I want to find maybe a portion of redemption in whatever this fight can give him, because let's be honest, the end of Tyson's career was a crap show. The last 9-10 fights, it was like you tuned in to see if he's going to snap a guy's arm or bite somebody's balls. You really had no idea, Luke. He quit on his stool a couple times, right? This could give him a chance to kind of find some peace and redemption. And, for his goals, it could lead to like other fun fights, like against the Holyfield or whatever. But just in this fight, Luke, those intentions are great. I don't know if that means he can take a punch anymore. Roy's actually been in there. Like, I don't know, and I think some of that unknown.
Roy can't take a punch either. Well,
take a punch
not from
a
from a boxer who is actively competing anyway.
Right. Not from an elite, but it's very interesting. One punch power, Tyson. Yeah, you can end it at any time if they're allowed to fight. But I would think from a betting standpoint, if you can even find a line on this crap, or from just the standpoint
there is. We actually have some. So actually, from CBSSports.com, Mike Tyson is about give or take, depending on where you go, about a minus 220 favorite to Roy Jones being plus 170. Now again, BC, the commission will not declare a winner. I'm guessing the odds that you can even have a winner and a loser is based on what the WBC will ceremonially decide at the end. I'm not sure how they would adjudicate the betting, but such as it is, Sportsline is the odds maker if you want to check it out.
Well, look, not only is Tyson a small heavyweight normally, he said he's at 215 pounds for the first time since he was like a late teenager, Luke. Roy has been fighting at cruiserweight most of the last decade and has fought at heavyweight before, so he's not dramatically smaller. I don't know how you couldn't like Roy's chances. Like, do you have any confidence that Mike, with no build-up fights, is going to be able to fight past like 2 or 3 rounds, Luke? If this gets into the 6th, 7th, 8th round, it's going to be gross. This is going to be all Roy. But let's see. He's got to get there.
This is the thing. Is it's the lesson I learned from watching Bellator old men fights, because what would happen was you would watch like Kimbo fight Ken, or even like Tito and Chael, and you saw all the accusations come that the fights were thrown. And to be sure, if you've watched enough MMA, there's no doubt you've seen a thrown fight, but it's almost certain you've not seen it in UFC, or at least you almost certainly you've never seen like a major promotion know about it or have a hand in it, because the consequences would be absolutely dire. They would lose the promoter's license and they would essentially go out of business. Right? That'd be the first problem. And then the other problem is you've certainly seen a thrown fight, but it's probably because the two fighters, or at least one of the fighters, sort of coordinated independently. But here's what I mean. When you forget about the throwing the thing, why does it look that way? Why do folks say that these old guys are throwing fights? Because it looks that way, but it's not. And what I mean to say is Kimbo had a little bit of punching power at the end there. Certainly Tito has shown a little bit of ability for a 40-something-year-old guy. And Chael, to an extent, had a okay, if not a good run over there in Bellator. But with these old dudes, you just never know when the bottom is going to drop out. You could be going in there, like to your point, BC, Roy is going in there and just boxing him up, jabbing him and cutting angles, and it's not the fastest or the prettiest it's ever been, not by a long shot, but he's doing all the things that, to your point, that he can and we probably should be able to do. And then he takes one body shot that doesn't look all that bad and he folds like a lawn chair. That's totally possible when you got two dudes, as bad as they were in their primes, and we all agree they were bad, are in their 50s, bro, with totally, in the case of Tyson, 15 years out. In the case of Roy, at least, 5 or 6, something like that, or at least 4, I think 2016 was about the end of his last run. Certainly a long-ass time. So it's like, I don't know what to expect, dude. I think your general tenor and what you're picking up on, it's probably right. You're probably right that Roy he'll look like the fresher, readier of the two for the experience. But how it all goes by the time the shit's over, yeah, I mean, I really would be very hesitant to guess.
There's a big difference between get in shape and drop weight and being able to actually go rounds. And now, look, Roy's been off for 2 years, so who knows? But while he was active, fighting relatively once a year for the past few years when he was active, he was going 10 rounds. So, I have no confidence that Mike can go rounds. But can you be careful, Luke, referencing Shamrock Kimbo and trying to make a case that there's no fixing when R.I.P. Kimbo, much of his career had the cloud of fixing over it, Luke. Much of it.
Yeah, I just mean, here's the thing. If you want to suspect that or any fight or any organization, you're allowed to. But at some point, if you're going to make the accusation that fight or any fight is fixed, you need to have evidence. And just watching two old dudes slip and slide on a mat when they're, so far past their expiration date, I understand that it looks off-putting, but that's not actually evidence. Evidence would be something like a paper trail or emails that show coordination or odd betting or something. And there's really none of that.
I don't want to get sued, and I'm not here to say that Shamrock and Kimbo was fixed, but Ken Shamrock knows how to choke someone, and it looked like he took his arm off and didn't know what to do. And I'm just saying, when there's smoke, sometimes there's fire. Can we just go down the?
But again, BC, I'm not saying that's altogether wrong. But that's a different claim than saying they threw a fight. That you have to have evidence for that claim.
I just want to remind. Do you remember the way Bo Cantrell fell against Kimbo? That was a little sketchy off of one half punch.
Dude, that was super. That was. Listen, that
okay,
was.
No, I'm not done.
Sketchy.
I'm actually not done here. Seth Petrozelli admitted afterwards that the promoters paid him not to take, offered money to him to not take the fight to the ground.
Yeah,
for that
but that's not
fight.
that's not a fight being thrown. That's different.
Okay, I'll go to my grave believing Houston Alexander doing circles backwards the whole time against Kimbo was a little bit off. Okay,
no, now you're going too far. I'm with you on the Bo Cantrell and the Shamrock fight. Just being hard to understand, even when you grant that old dudes fighting just looks like shit. I grant you that. But at some point, I say this to everybody, it's like at some point, if you're going to make an accusation about it, you really should have evidence because it's that serious. And the one time that we did have at least alleged fixed fighting in the UFC didn't know about it. Commission didn't know about it. It was a South Korean guy who was, I think, making owed people money and was trying to do it, and he got eventually found out about it. There was actually real evidence that was produced, and you couldn't tell watching it at the time. To me, that's how you should make a case for something and understand it when you look at it.
You know what wasn't fake? That heart attack Dada suffered during the fight with Kimbo. Not fake, Luke. Okay?
Yes, that was in fact quite. I was there that night. That was quite real, good sir.
Was that Houston? You went to Houston for that, Luke? Good God.
Dude, you know what? I got to tell you, that was one of my funner times. It was me and Sean El-Shadi for MMA fighting, and then Esther and Casey on the, they went for photos and videos. And, dude, Kimbo was, he had a weird career, but dude, like at the end of his life there, he was a really sweet person, and he was easy to talk to.
Everybody says that, yeah.
It was. I am glad I got the opportunity to, because I was like you, Erwin, in the Seth Petrozelli years. I was like, what are we fucking doing here? But then he went through Ultimate Fighter and he tried to like earn his way, and I think the community came around to him, and then that was my last interaction with him before he died. So I'm actually quite grateful I got the opportunity to go. And the fight was a motherfucking shit show. I mean, and by the way, dude, to this day, Kimbo Slice is the most popular fighter in Bellator history. I mean, think about that for a second. Dude's popularity.
Dude, I don't care what you think of Gary Shaw and Elite XC. Kimbo went on CBS and was doing like 6 million peak viewers. I mean, that's just like absurd, Luke.
Yeah, the guy captured people's attention. I don't know exactly what Tyson versus Jones is going to do, but BC, any sense of pay-per-views? It's $50. It's a little bit less than normal. You think it'll sell well?
I've been saying this answer, which sounds like I'm sitting on the fence. I think it's going to do better than you think, but not great. And what I mean by that is, look, yes, there are a lot of people that care about Tyson coming back that don't watch combat sports at all. But you're just saying Tyson's going to fight again in a real fight. Oh, Roy Jones. Oh, really? Like, it's not Tyson against, Peter McNeely. I mean, it's like, oh, my God. So I think you're going to get a certain amount. Here's a couple problems. Kevin Iole put out a tweet yesterday that nailed it. He says, I've been covering fights since 1981. This is the worst promoted fight in the history of combat sport. Look, this is a horrifically promoted fight. I mean, it's just, it's not wrong to say that, okay? So that has to have sacrifice. I know they got Tyson on Good Morning America. I know they've done a couple things. I know they had, Ariel hosted that sort of remote presser they did, but, there just hasn't been media opportunities. There just hasn't been, like, anything. This has been bad. But now that they have it on the ability to mainstream pay-per-view it, you don't have to find the Fight app or figure out what Triller is or Thriller. Good God, whatever. It's got a chance. Now, the pay-per-view market is dead, as we know, for the most part, and dead meaning, during the prime of Manny and Floyd, you roll out a really good fight in boxing or even UFC at that point, you can get 1 million buys. That wasn't ridiculous. Now it's super hard unless you've got Floyd or some kind of Conor crossover. Could it do, Luke? 700,000 and push close to 1 million. It's certainly possible, but I do not believe that it reaches 1 million, and I do not believe, even given the celebrity names, that it does any sort of Maymac or anything. No. It's been shitty promoted. No.
Let me just say, I think it's possible it could do 500,000. And if it does, and it could go higher certainly, but I would say, I'm sort of eyeballing that number, that ballpark. And I think if it does, that's an unmitigated success. You mean to tell me you could sell there's only been 2 MMA promotions in history to sell 100,000 buys for a pay-per-view event. Bellator did it one time, I think, and then, or maybe twice at most. And then you have UFC, which has done it routinely. No one else has even come close. That's how hard it is to do. It's extremely difficult. Fans have a warped sense when they see, like, 200,000 buys. That's not that much. Well, for people who can really pull on pay-per-view, that's not that much. But the overwhelming majority of entities who even have good rosters, who have, in this case it's bad promotion, but they have good promotion, they just can't seem to get over that hump. So if you're to sell 500,000 for 2 guys that are washed beyond washed, granted legends, but in terms of their competitive abilities, so far past it, not even in a real fight, and your co-main event is a YouTuber, which we'll talk about in just a second. Dude, I don't know how you call that anything but a success. For $50? Like, I don't know how you call that anything but a success. If it goes even higher than that, it's an absolute grand slam. I don't think it'll hit $1 million. I don't think it'll get close. But, 7 maybe at the high end. 800,000. I don't think it'll do that, but that would be ridiculously successful.
This is where I think CSAC, California State Athletic Commission, has kicked this fight in the bag and its potential. If they didn't have any of this BS, if there wasn't this narrative of, they're not going to be allowed to fight, I think you would have done even more, obviously, along with a viable promotion, which this didn't really have leading up to it.
TV taught me how to dream. It was a life jacket. I don't think you can be an artist and not touch people.